From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. Canadian cabinet ministers say they need to take Donald Trump's threats seriously after he mused about annexing Canada through economic pressure. Originally, Trump said his tariffs threat was in response to border security, but recently he's talked about how the U.S. subsidizes Canada. Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc says he will not enter the Liberal leadership race in order to devote all his attention to the tariff threat.
And I will be solely focused on the real economic threat that American tariffs represent to the Canadian economy and to Canadian workers. It's a full-time job. I'm lucky to have it, and I'll be at the Finance Department very early tomorrow morning.
Meanwhile, Labour Minister Stephen McKinnon is among the MPs considering becoming the next Liberal leader. McKinnon says it is absolutely essential the next party leader be fluent in both official languages.
I think it's important that we have a candidate who understands the whole country, who values all the regions of Canada, and who is able to communicate their ideas in every region of Canada.
Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly says she's still considering whether to launch a leadership bid. Ontario Premier Doug Ford continues to push back against Donald Trump's 25% tariff threats and to annex Canada and make it the 51st U.S. state. Ford says he's spoken with business leaders and politicians in the U.S. who acknowledge Canada is not the problem.
I'm sure his team, the senators and congresspeople, private sector business people are in his ear. But that's President Trump, right? We'll deal with him.
Ford has previously threatened to cut off energy his province sells to 4 U.S. states if the tariffs were implemented, but he says he doesn't want to do that. Canadian firefighters are in California battling multiple blazes that have killed at least 2 people in the Los Angeles area. 2 Quebec government planes have been actively fighting flames since Tuesday, and Quebec's public security minister says the province is ready to send more firefighters if needed. Canada's retail industries beginning the year with some brands closing stores. Women's apparel company Comark Holdings says it'll shutter all of the stores under its Ricky's and Cleo banners as it files for creditor protection. A court-appointed monitor says Comark's profitability has been hit by the pandemic, but also increased competition. Good news if you are a morning coffee drinker.
According to a new study published in the European Heart Journal, drinking that morning cup of joe may lower the risk of early death compared to drinking coffee throughout the day. Research shows morning-only coffee drinkers had a 16% lower risk of death and a 31% lower risk of dying from heart disease. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is the Canadian Press. In sports, wildfires in Los Angeles have postponed tonight's game between the Calgary Flames and the Los Angeles Kings. But the Vancouver Canucks will take on the Eastern Conference leading Washington Capitals in one of 3 games still on tonight's NHL schedule. Montreal Canadiens general manager Kent Hughes is staying grounded during his team's hot streak. The Habs have won 8 of their last 10 games, climbing from the NHL's basement into the playoff picture at the season's halfway mark.
Whether we can be a playoff team or not, we're in that conversation right now, and let's see how our players respond to it.
Over in the PWHL tonight, Vancouver will host a game this evening between Montreal and Toronto. It could be just what the New York Knicks need to end their 3-game losing skid. They'll entertain the Toronto Raptors tonight, owners of the worst road record in the NBA. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.